And welcome to LFC Focus. Liverpool are taking on Wolves at Anfield on Saturday in the FA Cup 4th round, looking to finally get their season back on track after a disappointing start to 2017. So the big question going into this game is how Liverpool will line up. And obviously this is always a question going into the cup games because we know that Jurgen Klopp likes to chop and change and blood a few youngsters and reserve players in games in the FA Cup and the League Cup. But given the result on Wednesday night and the current form that Liverpool are in, there is a suggestion that we may go a little bit stronger and we may even see the full first team in this game because, like earlier on in the season when Liverpool lost against Burnley and then had a League Cup game against Burton straight afterwards, this team needs a win at the moment and they need confidence. And there are other factors like the fact that if we want Daniel Sturridge to work in a right-wing role in the absence of Sadio Mane and as a backup to Sadio Mane should he get injured later on in the season, then we need him to play games in that position to get used to it, and we need him to play games in the first team. And generally this team looks a little bit shot of confidence at the moment. They're not creating as many chances as they were, they're not finishing off the chances they have, and they're not defending as well. So a game against a team like Wolves, who aren't Premier League opposition, so shouldn't be too difficult to break down, could help boost their confidence if they can get a win and they can get a few goals. There is obviously the issue that the Chelsea game is so soon on Tuesday, and it would be quite a big risk to play our first team for 3 straight games in the space of 7 days. But perhaps this game could actually help us for the Chelsea game if it does give us more confidence, and Liverpool could actually play a lot better against Chelsea if these first team players do get a run out against Wolves. Onto the FA Cup as a whole and how it's taken on a bit more significance now, obviously, with Liverpool's EFL Cup exit. It's probably our best chance of a trophy this season because the league looks pretty much gone at this stage. Perhaps we'll get back into the title race, and there are fine margins. Obviously, if Liverpool win against Chelsea, big if I know, then they are only within 7 points of the top of the league, and at this stage in the season that's certainly not curtains. But the FA Cup is a lot more likely chance for a trophy this season, so perhaps Liverpool will go for it a bit more, but then there is the obvious problem that if they do, then it could damage their hopes of a top 4 place or maybe even a place in the title race towards the end of the season. I think last season Man United's cup run, where obviously they did win the trophy, eventually stopped them from getting the top 4 because it's quite a big congestion of games towards that business end of the season, and it's obviously a big ask of a team to compete in both the FA Cup and the league to the best of their potential. Liverpool had this similar problem last season with the Europa League, where they did sort of have to sacrifice any hopes of a European spot through the league to focus on trying to win the Europa League. But on the other hand, this team, I think it needs a trophy because it does seem to be that there's this mental block creeping in with regards to Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp as well, of getting close to winning trophies. Obviously they had 2 finals last season and a semi-final this season, but falling at one of the last hurdles and just not quite getting there. So perhaps winning the FA Cup, should Liverpool get to the final and manage it, could actually help us for future title races, because we don't want to gain a reputation as a team who bottles it and falls away at the last moment. We want to start being known as a team of winners who are able to cope with big occasions like this. So going into the future, we obviously want Jurgen Klopp to be around for a while, so it would be good if he can get a trophy, he can get that monkey off his back, and Liverpool can get back to being a winning team again, because silverware is also a very good thing for Liverpool. And as Jamie Carragher said on Sky Sports last night, they've only won 1 in the last 10 years, and for a club of Liverpool's stature and where they want to be going in future, that's simply not good enough. So while it may be a good idea to go for the FA Cup season, or may not be, depends on your own view of the Champions League and whether Liverpool need that. I think I'd like to see us get top 4 because it's obviously a big step forward in moving up the league, and it could help us in the summer with regards to getting a bit more money, and it gives us more pulling power with signings. But I think for now, Liverpool should definitely go for the FA Cup because it is a good opportunity for the trophy, and we'll see later on in the season as it gets to the quarter-final stage and we get to the business end of the Premier League whether we do have to start prioritising one of the 2 competitions. So, while this segment has lost a little bit of its credibility in 2017 with the results that Liverpool are getting, I'm going to press forward and give you once again my 3 reasons why Liverpool will beat them. So here are my 3 reasons why we will beat Wolverhampton Wanderers. First of all, like I said, these Liverpool players have a point to prove, and that matters whether it's the first team players or the youngsters, because obviously the first team players aren't having a great 2017, they aren't doing very well, and they do need to get a win under their belt, and so a game against Wolves is a good chance for them to get out there and show what they're made of and prove to Jurgen Klopp that they are good enough for Liverpool. And the youngsters haven't really played that well either. The 2 games against Plymouth were both pretty poor performances from them. I know we had some standout performers like Trent Alexander-Arnold's obviously been very good, but other second string players like Divock Origi, who's obviously being considered as part of the second 11 at the moment, with Daniel Sturridge more of a first team player until Mane comes back at least, and other players like Kevin Stewart, who hasn't really impressed me this season and could be fighting for his future for Liverpool, future at Liverpool come the summer transfer window. All of the players at Liverpool at the moment aren't really performing very well and all have a point to prove. So I think that will work out in their favour, because hopefully the crowd will get behind them as well. That's obviously very important, and especially in a cup game where the crowds haven't been so good this season. But all of these players need to put in a good performance to prove themselves to the manager. Next up, again, like I said earlier on in the video, Liverpool are out of the League Cup, so they do sort of need to go all out in the FA Cup this season, because if their position in the league continues to fall away and they do find themselves out of the title race, then it's sort of like the Europa League in that it's Liverpool's only real opportunity of a trophy this season, so they might as well go for it as much as they possibly can. And finally, Wolves' style of play should benefit for Liverpool, because as we talked about in the Fields of Anfield Road podcast, which if you haven't checked out is available on the Fields of Anfield Road website, which the link is for down in the description. We talked at the end of that podcast, we also talked about many other things such as where do Liverpool go from here in the season and what has gone wrong with them. But right at the end, we did talk about the Wolves game and how the Wolves manager is Paul Lambert, who actually is a big fan of Jurgen Klopp's gegenpressing style and has modelled this Wolves side around it. So hopefully we won't see what we have been seeing too many times in recent months, which is teams coming to Anfield and parking the bus and looking to maybe get a 0-0, and hopefully Wolves won't come here to force a replay and just stop Liverpool scoring with no attempts at attacking. Obviously, with some of our defensive frailties at the moment, it could work out in Wolves' favour rather than our own, that they come out and attack us a bit more, but it should benefit our attacking players, and hopefully they'll get a few more goals to give them confidence going forward. That's all for today's video. Hopefully Liverpool can finally get their season back on track by getting a win against Wolves on Saturday and progressing through to the 5th round of the FA Cup. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new around here, and like the video if you enjoyed it, and follow at LFC Focus TV on Twitter. Bye for now.